Morning, Alex. Today's video is brought to you from the confines of an abandoned classroom in one of the buildings on campus. This floor is pretty empty, but I can still hear people walk by every now and then, which is only slightly disconcerting. Today I want to talk to you about Superfund. Superfund is the common name for the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act of 1980. It was a response to a series of extreme environmental catastrophes that pushed the United States over the edge as far as its position on toxic waste dumping. The two best known were the Love Canal incident and the Valley of the Drums in Kentucky. The Love Canal was a project started back in the late 1800s to try and bring hydroelectric power to the growing industries in the area. When it wasn't completed, they started using it as a dump site for municipal waste and toxic chemicals. By the 1950s, they were no longer dumping the waste, and they had covered it with about 25 feet of dirt and just let plants grow over it. The company that was responsible for the site eventually sold it to the local school district for a price of $1, specifically stating that there were toxic chemicals buried on the site. That didn't stop them from building a school in a neighborhood on top of this. Residents of the neighborhood didn't realize that they were living above a toxic waste site until they started having increased incidents of things like cancer, miscarriages, and birth defects. At the time, the company hadn't disposed of anything improperly. They followed all the applicable laws, but the people realized that this just wasn't enough. And that's what led about the passage of CERCLA. So what CERCLA did was it actually assigned liability for those who dispose of toxic wastes. It also established the Superfund, which was based on a tax of chemical and petroleum industries, so that in the event that an owner of a site couldn't be located and couldn't be held liable, there was funding available that the federal government could come in and clean the site on their own. Tax on the petroleum and chemical industries was ended in 1995, though, leaving the federal government solely responsible for the cleanup of Superfund sites in the event that a liable party couldn't be found. And as a result, taxpayers like you and I have to foot the bill. So currently there's over 1,300 Superfund sites in the United States, and these are only the ones that are on the national priority list. There's several other sites that haven't made the list because local governments and local citizens don't want to be listed as a Superfund site, as it could be seen to decrease local home values and cause issues as far as the local economy. It's also said that 1 in 4 Americans in the United States lives within 3 miles of a Superfund site, and I know we've got one in southern Corvallis. I actually took a look at where you live, Alex, and you've got 3 surrounding your location. Now, some of these sites have already been cleaned up, and some of them are just proposed and haven't even been added to the list yet. So why is Superfund important? Well, it's important because a lot of these sites have had so many businesses and companies working there over the years that you really don't know who it was who was responsible for dumping all these chemicals. And as a result, it's impossible to assign liability to any single partner. Having the Superfund in place gives the federal government finances dedicated to cleaning up these sites where liability can't be assigned to any individual business. Without a local populations would be stuck footing the bill, which could be anywhere between tens of millions to billions of dollars in eventual cleanup. I suggest anybody who's interested in Superfund to check out the EPA website. You can learn more about its history and what their current projects are, as well as you can check the national priority list to see if you live close to a Superfund site. Anyway, Alex, so that's my brief lecture on Superfund and what it is, and I will see you on Monday.